So let's get started. Welcome. We have so many new people on here tonight. I just want to welcome y'all to your very first Zoom call. We're happy to have y'all. And you joined at a good time because we've got a special guest tonight. So I think it's going to be great for you. Before we get started with Erin, I wanted to let y'all know that since October 1st, we have enrolled as a team 16 new ambassadors. That's our largest month to date. So congratulations, y'all have done a great job. As you know, our Diamond Upline Erin is on the call tonight to answer some questions that we submitted to her. And then if we have time at the end, we're going to open it up for Q&A so you can take notes if you think of something while Erin's talking. Maybe we'll have some time at the end to ask those questions of her. But before we welcome her, our team has a little special treat for Erin. Are y'all ready?
We're ready.
Okay. Happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday,
Erin. Happy birthday to
you and many more.
Okay, Erin, you got it.
Oh my goodness, that's the best birthday wish I've gotten all day. Thank you guys. That totally just made my day.
Well, I had no idea when I invited you to join us that it was your birthday. So thank you for making the time.
Absolutely. No, I'm so thankful. And I really appreciate you guys having me on. And I am just so thrilled about this team. You guys, you're growing like crazy. It seems like you're really having fun with your businesses. And I'm just so thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for Jennifer and her leadership. And you guys are just a really special team. So I'm excited for you. I'm excited for where you've come to this point and then just what your future is going to look like. So great job to you guys. So let me just give you a little bit of my story briefly, and then I'll take these questions that Jennifer has provided for me, and you're going to see a lot of common themes in what I'm saying with regard to answering your questions, because I really think that this business is so simple. And a lot of times we overcomplicate things. And so that's something that I just really try to hammer home is keep it simple and be consistent. And those are the things that we'll talk about. So my story, I'll give you a little bit of my background. I am a registered dietitian. I have my master's in nutrition. I also have a PA. I used to work for Mead Johnson, which is the company that Jennifer's husband, Jerry, worked for. And that's how we were connected, is through a mutual friend, actually. I knew of Jennifer whenever I was there, but I had never actually had the opportunity to meet her. So it was a great company, great experiences. I was, throughout my time there, I was there for 8 years. I was really successfully climbing the corporate ladder. That was my only goal. That was something I was really, really driven by. Started having babies, and my priorities began to change. And I looked up one day and realized I was working 50 to 60 hours per week and traveling 3 to 4 nights per week. And I had 2 babies at home. And just one day, John and I just made the decision for me to walk away, which was a hard decision, but we absolutely knew that it was the right thing to do. And then at that point, I decided all I wanted to do was be a stay-at-home mom. I really was burned out on work, and that was all I wanted to do, was just stay home. I really thought I would never work again. And then right before our third child, Henry, was born, I had been watching my friends, 2 of my college friends, Celeste and Jen Hawkins, posting about Plexus on Facebook. And I was really, really skeptical. They had asked me a lot about it, and I told them I thought that it was a fad. I thought that it was a quick weight loss scheme, and that when you're a dietitian, you're trained to be skeptical. And I felt like that this was another one of those things that you would lose weight, but as soon as you went off of it, you gain all that weight back, and that it just wasn't worth it. but that was before I actually looked into the products, which is a little embarrassing to think about now. I really should have evaluated them critically before I made my choices or my decisions about them. But then it was about an 18-month period that I watched Jenny and Celeste posting and just progressing. Their health was improving, their financial situation was improving, and there just came a point where I couldn't deny it any longer. And then I actually looked at the products and saw that they were great. And then my husband actually encouraged me to join because he wanted to try them. After I had Henry, I think it was about 8 weeks postpartum, I started the products. And pretty much from that point on, the rest is history. My only goal in joining my only goal in joining as an ambassador was to cover the cost of my product. I did that in the first month just with simple posting on Facebook and sharing. And then my income continued to double really over the course of month after month after month throughout the next few months and years. And I'll tell you, I went Emerald. Let me think about this for a second. It took me 18 months. Oh man, I'm like second guessing myself here. Okay, so I joined in August of 13. I went Emerald in February of 15. So that's 18 months, right? I went Sapphire in August of 15, and then I went Diamond in April of this year. So that tells you a little bit about the speed of my progression or lack of speed, depending upon how you look at it. I've always been kind of a slow and steady wins the race. I'm all about consistency and discipline, and that's really been what's benefited me in whatever my career has been. So that's just a little bit about my background, my story. From a health standpoint, real quick, I had migraines. Horrible migraines. So registered dietitian, I know how to eat well, and then I also exercise. I exercise daily, but I still had migraines, probably 6 a year, and they were the migraines where my face would go numb, my arm would go numb, my speech would be horrible. My tongue would be super thick. I couldn't talk. My vision would begin to go, and this would all kind of progress over about an hour. And then I would get this horrible headache and just have to go to bed for the rest of the day. So that happened at least 6 times a year. Sometimes it was more frequent depending upon sort of what was going on, stress and other environmental things. I also had a stomach ache every single day, especially toward the end of the day. I thought it was just because I was eating so many vegetables, but now I realize that I really had poor gut health. And so once I got on the Plexus products, I haven't had a migraine since I started my Plexus products, which blows my mind. And I don't have any stomach aches. My stomach aches were back to the point whenever I was in the 2nd grade. I can remember checking in from recess because I just wanted to lay down because my stomach hurt with my entire life. So that's just a little bit of my sort of financial and health journey with Plexus so far. Now, Jennifer, with these questions, do you just want me to kind of start going down through them, or do you have some that are priority?
Whichever you would like to do. You want me to read them and then you answer them, or?
Why don't you read the ones that you think?
Okay, let's have everybody mute their mics for a moment, just so we can get a good recording of this video. Okay, so Erin, you want me to start in priority order? Okay, so I don't know. As a new ambassador, there's so much information out there, and so it's hard to focus. What would be your advice on where to start and where to focus?
That's a great question. So whenever I am training new ambassadors, if I have someone join my team, the first thing that I do is set them and I walk through the welcome kit that we all get. That welcome kit is so fantastic. And there's a a little fold-out sheet in there that are your top 10 things to do right out of the gate. And it really is helpful. I think a lot of times people overlook it or set it aside, but it is one of the greatest tools that you have as a sponsor to get your people going and get them going well. But then also as a new ambassador yourself, make sure you pull that out and go through the list of 10 things to get you started off strong. And then it references over to your quick start guide, which is a wealth of information. If there is a question you have about anything, I promise you it's been addressed in that quick start guide. If you need a script for what to say on that first time you reach out to somebody, there's a whole section in that book of scripts. There's just all kinds of information that'll really help you to get started quickly. And the thing I love about that is it helps you to be consistent with every single new person that you sign up. If you'll just set a phone call with them and say, hey, you're going to get your welcome kit within 5 days or so, touch base with them in 5 days and say, have you received it yet? And if they say yes, then say, okay, let's set up a time here in the next day or so to go through it. And all I do is just walk through those 10 items. And as you walk through them, things will come to mind for you that really help you to know, just how to kind of get them going and how to help them to feel comfortable. The other thing that I think is so important with new people is to ask lots and lots of questions. Every single person on this call has a different objective with their business. You all have a different why. And as your sponsor, if I know what's driving you, if I know what's important to you, if I know how I can best help you, then that's going to help me to be much more relevant to your journey. And so the only way that I can find that out with my level ones is to ask lots of questions. And so just be thinking about what is it important for you to know to best help them. You want to know what their why is. Why are you doing this? Do you want is it health? Is it financial? If it's financial, talk to me more about that. Are you wanting to cover your kids' Mother's Day Out program? Or are you wanting to, have an entire account set aside to cover all of their college in the future? Are you wanting to build a mission in Guatemala? What is it that you're going for here? What's really driving you? And when you can understand what that is, then that'll really help you to, work with your people. So that's the first thing, is go through that list of 10 things and just talk them through that. I have all of my new level ones. If there's only 2 investments you make in your business, I feel like you need to buy business cards. And I feel like that you need to get a subscription to Plexus Power Tools, because Plexus Power Tools is a service that we have. It's $10 a year. If you get one customer as a result of that, then it'll pay for it. And what it does is it really helps to give you information that you can share with people that is compliant and that it's accurate. That's one of the greatest challenges. The first probably 18 months to 2 years that I was with Plexus, it was such a new baby company that we were coming up with stuff like resources and things to share that they would be compliant when we came up with them, but then things would change and we didn't know if they would continue to be compliant. So this Plexus Power Tools was actually born from that need. And now anything that you click on there, you can know that it's compliant. You can attach it to an email, you can attach it to a Facebook message, and you always have great tools and resources to share with them. So honestly, you could make an investment of $20 to $25 when you start your business to do those 2 things, because you can get some cheap business cards. And that's going to really set you up for success for moving into the future. And I really do encourage that for anybody, but especially any new level 1 that I have sign up.
That's great. Thanks, Erin. Okay, the next question is, as a working mom, what tips can you offer to utilize my time to be the most effective to reach Jewel and balance God, family, work, and extracurricular activities.
Absolutely. So this is me. I have really had to balance. So I have, those of you that don't know, I have 4 kids. My oldest will be 8 on Thursday. My youngest is about 18 months. So within a 6-year span, I had 4 kids. And honestly, I hit Emerald when I was pregnant with our 4th. So you can totally achieve Jewel status with this company busy, with lots of kids, lots of responsibility, a lot going on. I also, during that time, served on our pastor selection committee. So we had our pastor retired at our church, and our church is a attendance of around 2,500. So it's not a huge mega church, but it's also not tiny. It's a good sized church. There were 7 people on this pastor search committee. And you can imagine that was a ton of responsibility, and just listening to sermons, traveling, and really evaluating these people. So did that. And that was also during the time that I went Emerald and Sapphire. So what I want to tell you is you have to evaluate, like think about the activities that you're doing and make sure that every single one of them are for the benefit of income producing activity. You can waste so much time scrolling Facebook and getting lost in all kinds of stuff, really. But what I do is I think about what's important for me for moving my business forward. And the things that are important are getting new customers, getting new ambassadors, and loving on, training, supporting my team. And if the work that I'm doing does not fall into one of those 3 categories, then it's probably a waste of my time right now. It's not income producing activity. So my advice to anybody is look at your week ahead. And I think Sunday's a great time to do that. Sunday evening, you've gotten through the weekend, you sit down, maybe it's in bed right before you fall asleep, but just kind of take 30 minutes to plan your week ahead. Look at the blocks of time that you have to actually work your business. You need to work your business every day. If it's 10 minutes or if it's 4 hours, there needs to be consistency in that you're putting some time into your business every single day. So plan that out over the course of the week ahead. And then think about, what is it that I need to do? And honestly, there's 2 things you need to do during that time. You need to reach out to people on your list of 100, which I know you guys have all heard us talking about this. You have to make a list of 100 people, and that list needs to constantly be growing and evolving. And then every single day you need to reach out to some of those people, and you need to follow up with some of those people. If you will do that, then you're going to get to whatever rank that you have your sights set on. But you can't hop on Facebook. If you have 10 minutes to work on a Monday morning on your business and you hop on Facebook, you can't do that, because before you know it, you're going to look up and your 10 minutes are going to be gone plus some, and you will have completely wasted your time. What you instead need to do is have your plan. Write out. I love to sit down on Sunday night and just write out Monday, here are the 5 names. Tuesday, here are the 5 names. Specifically write down the names of the people that I'm either going to reach out to or follow up with. And then that way, when we think about this business and fitting it in the nooks and crannies of our lives, if I only have 10 minutes, then I immediately pull out that list. I reach out to those 5 people. I follow up with the 3 people. And then you walk away from your work time really feeling energized and like you've accomplished something, because you've stayed focused on what you know to be income producing activity. And that is absolutely key. What I've seen is that people who progress slowly or don't progress, more than likely they're not doing those 2 things. They're not reaching out to people specifically and following up with people that have reached out to them. And the other thing is, I think a lot of times we follow up once or twice and then we let them drop off. there are people that I am working on right now to buy product from me just to be customers that I have been following up with for months, you guys. I'm talking maybe 24, 36 months off and on, but consistently. So it's key that you continue to follow up. And I have no doubt that they're going to order product from me by the end of the month. That's my goal.
Erin, I have just another question it's a part of that question. I think sometimes, especially when people are busy and have young families, that we tend to think that we have to have a hunk of time to work our Plexus business. Would you address kind of how you work it into the nooks and crannies?
Absolutely. So what I do personally is I get up about 5 or 5:30 in the morning. I set my alarm. I get up, I have my quiet time, and then I have my very specific list of things I'm going to hammer out. And I get as much of that done as I can. My kids usually start coming down, showing their faces anywhere between 6:45 and 7:15. So I work from 5:30 until, so that's a good hour and 45 minutes that I actually, hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes I can get in. And then I shut it down and I'm full on mommy duty, getting breakfast, lunch is made, kids dressed, everybody off to school. My little ones, my 1 and 3-year-olds, they go to Mother's Day out on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So those are days that I know I can allot a little bit more. Mondays and Wednesdays, it's going to be a little bit more sporadic. But I do that, and then everybody's off to school. I can do coffee dates or team calls and things like that on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays. And then my 2 littles go back down for nap around 1:30 to 3:30. So that's 2 hours there that I can jump on, answer questions, maybe respond to some emails. If I've got a project I'm working on, I can kind of get that going. And then I shut it down again from 4 until 8 p.m. because full on mommy duty. And then after 8, not every night, but many nights, then I'll jump back on, answer questions, respond to messages. I like to spend that time just shooting out messages to my level 1s and level 2s and just encouraging them. And, I think that's a big part of leadership is just loving on people and really showing them what you think they're doing well. So I really try to do that as well. So that's my daily routine. It does vary. Some days I might have a good chunk of 2 hours to be able to sit down and work during the day outside of what I've just described. And then other days I might have a field trip or something that I'm going on that it's a little, less consistent. But that's how I do it. I really try to be present when my kids are around because they're so little. They don't understand, if I'm on my computer or what have you. So I really try to be present. There are times where I, get them busy with some project or a Mickey Mouse clubhouse that I can have a few minutes to work. But for the most part, that's my schedule. And I really do try to do it while they're sleeping, before they get up or after they go to bed.
Okay, Erin, you know so many more jewels than we do. So when you think of the jewel that is busy, that's not a stay-at-home mom, or that, has a full-time job and has kids, and what do you think they do differently?
Okay, so one of my really good friends that's a diamond, and she reached diamond as a working mom. And her name's Rosalind Payne. So if you guys don't know her, you should look her up and just kind of follow her. But what she did, well, a couple of things. First of all, she worked her business just kind of like what I was describing. She did it before work, and then lunchtime, they knew they could get a hold of her from 12 to 1. And then she wasn't available again until after work. So from 5 to 9 or whatever. The other thing, though, that she does and that I really try to do is as your team grows, you've really got to develop leaders. And so I have almost 4,500 people in my downline, and there's no way that I can effectively be one-on-one with even a fraction of those people. So what I've really tried to do is teach my leaders how to lead, if they haven't already. Many of them were already great leaders before I ever even came around. But and just really teaching them how to be proactive, how to learn how to go and get the answers for themselves. And this is something that I think Roz would tell you that she did as well. It's just really teaching people how to, honestly, how to run and own your own business, because that's what you are. You guys are all entrepreneurs. And so you get, the beauty of this is it's, you own your own business. You're able to run your business the way that you want to. I don't think it's a downside. The other side of that, though, is that you have to be proactive. You have to have a lot of grit. You can't be easily discouraged or swayed or distracted. You have to know what your goals are, and you've got to be constantly working toward those. So I think whether you're a working mom, you're a stay-at-home mom, maybe you're not a working mom, maybe you're just a working person that has a full-time, very demanding job, you absolutely can work this in. The other thing that just comes to mind is we do a lot of things with our discretionary time that's not income producing. So if your goal is to maybe ultimately be a stay-at-home mom, or ultimately be able to have time freedom through Plexus and be able to leave your corporate position, then your discretionary time, you've got to really be thinking about, how am I spending that? I may not be able to read People magazine like I used to, or I may not be able to talk on the phone for extended periods of time with a friend every single day. You know, you may just have to kind of start realizing, you know what, I actually do have a lot more discretionary time than I realize. And so I probably need to give up Grey's Anatomy on Thursday. Maybe I could use that hour to be working my business. Or maybe you could watch Grey's Anatomy with one eye and work your business with the other.
That's a good idea. That's a good one. Okay, I love this question, Erin. It's similar to one that I asked when I was brand new.
Yeah.
So in your first year, what would you say your biggest mistake was, and what would you have done differently?
I'm anxious to see if I answer today the same way I did you. I think I will. My biggest mistake. So this is kind of fun. I joined August the 2nd of 2013. I went silver on my birthday, which would be October the 23rd of 2013. So I got 3 ambassadors between August 2nd and October 23rd. That's not super fast growth. It's not super slow either. But I remember Jennifer Bailey, she's one of my very best friends from Indiana. She was my 2nd ambassador. And I remember one day her asking me, why don't you ever talk about the business side of Plexus? All your posts on Facebook are about the products. Do you not think the business is good? Do you think people shouldn't do it? And I was like, I just sat there for a second. I'm like, I don't even know. It never even had occurred to me. And realize this too, my sister Audrey is my upline, but she joined July 15th and I joined August 2nd. So we might as well have joined at the same time. We were both very, very new. And so as far as from a training standpoint, we were sort of training ourselves together. So it just dawned on me, I need to be talking about the business side of this, because there are so many people that sure, the products will help them, but what they're really, really looking for is financial freedom, or to get out of debt, or to maybe just be able to have enough money to pay for their kids to do some extra activities like soccer or piano or whatever. So from that point, I really began to start talking much more about the business aspect. So that's the first thing that I would say that I wish I would have done differently in the first year. The second thing, I am not, like, I've done sales. So the company I was with previously, I was in lots of different sales roles, but I'm not a natural born salesperson. It actually makes me very uncomfortable to feel like I am pressuring somebody or backing them into the corner. So I was really leery of that aspect of network marketing. I didn't want to come across that way. So all I did was post on Facebook. And I actually kind of bragged about this, that I had built my business all the way up to the point of Emerald without ever personally reaching out to anybody and asking them to try Plexus or asking them to join my team. Then I had a realization, another one of my level ones, one day, she said, you know what? If you would have asked me to join you, I probably would have done it 6 months sooner than what I did. And I was like, oh my goodness, in essence, I cheated her out of 6 months of the health and financial benefits. And honestly, I cheated myself out of that as well. I could have really been enjoying that, that relationship with her in this way sooner than I was. So from that point, I have really begun to be more proactive in reaching out to people and asking them and telling them. And here's what my message is. I Facebook message or text them and say, hey, I know I'm doing this Plexus thing. And for the record, when you decide you want to try Plexus or when you decide you want to join Plexus, I want you on my team. And then I tell them the 2 or 3 reasons why I think they would be great as an ambassador or why I think these products would be great for them. That has worked really, really well for me. I've did a lot of level ones since I've begun doing that. So those are the 2 things. Number 1, I wish I would have talked more about the business and the products. And then number 2, I wish I would have not been so passive in letting people come to me as a result of my Facebook posts, but instead proactively reaching out to my list of 100, my chicken list, and telling these people I want you on my team.
That's great. Okay, what's the minimum amount of time I should work my business every day?
So that's an interesting question because and the thing that I go to first is about this idea of pace. So it depends upon how quickly you want to progress to the next rank and ultimately progress to Emerald, Sapphire, and Diamond. My belief is that if you will consistently share about these products and consistently take these products, that ultimately you will reach the top of the company. It might take you 18 months. It might take you 12 months. It might take you 6 years. Really, who cares? Because once you reach the top of the company, trust me, the benefits will blow your mind. But it's all about pace for you. So if you are okay with just that slow and steady wins the race, then I say consistently putting in between an hour to 3 hours a day is going to be really, really good. Key word is consistent. You have to do it every weekday. I try to take Sundays off and just really spend time with my family. I might jump on Facebook a little bit, or if I have a couple of things on my to-do list, but for the most part, I really try to take Sundays off. But I work it Monday through Friday pretty hard, and then Saturday I'll work as well. Now, people who have catapulted to Diamond quickly, they're probably putting in more like 6 to 8 hours a day or 4 to 6 hours a day consistently. And I'm telling you, this is like not just scrolling Facebook time. They are reaching out, they're prospecting, they're following up, they're having coffee with people, they're doing training events. I mean, I'm talking like good, solid work for 4 to 6 hours. So it's all about pace. What pace do you want? If you want to go quickly, then you need to put more time in each day. If you want to just do sort of slow and steady, if that's what you're capable of right now, because I think that's the thing too. If you're working a full-time job, you put in what you can put in, but it just has to be consistent.
That's great. Okay, we've got two questions that are kind of similar. One is how many ambassadors working the business does it take to go Emerald? And the other one is how realistic is it to make Emerald by July 31st and earn the trip to Maui if I just started?
Started now. So that second question, people have done it. And it goes kind of back to what I was just saying about pace. If you are a person of influence and you have a network that you are like beginning to tap into and get them going, and you're reaching out to people and you're talking to people and you're firing them up about Plexus, then it is very realistic. I posted a couple of days ago about my friend Bridget Ryan. If you're not familiar with her, I would really encourage you to get to just like follow her on Facebook. She's a mom of 7. She's a blogger. But the thing that's really interesting is she is using Instagram and hashtags to just, grow her team. And it's a really interesting approach. She's a kind of a crunchy mom. She's a stay-at-home mom, so she's really sort of infiltrating that world. But she's growing like crazy. And I think last year at Leaders Retreat, on this post, I can't remember, I think she was a gold, maybe a senior gold, but still fairly new to the company. And she went diamond, I think the month I did. So she went diamond quickly. You can do it in 6-8 months. So it's absolutely doable. The first part of your question, I can't remember what you.
It was how many ambassadors working the business, so I guess how many runners do you need to go Emerald?
To be honest with you, the way that our compensation plan is set up, you only need 2 people who share your common passion, your common goals, and that are running alongside you. Because you need your primary leg, and then for every rank that you achieve, when you analyze the compensation plan, you'll see that for each rank you achieve, a certain number of your points have to come outside of your primary person. So an example, I'm just going to use this. My older sister Audrey is my upline. I signed up under her. I am her primary leg. So she hit Emerald in January. I hit Emerald in February. Then I hit Sapphire in August. She didn't hit Sapphire until 4 or 5 months later. And the reason, she had enough total points, she had 3,000 points, but they were primarily coming from me. And once you hit Sapphire, you need a certain number of points to come from outside of me. So she had to grow some of her other level 1s to get enough points to get her up to Sapphire on that outside primary leg, which she is now. And she's super close to diamond, but same story. I hit diamond in April. She has enough points to be a diamond, but they're primarily coming from our leg, my leg. And so she's really working to grow her outside primary. But if you just have 2 people, then you can hit diamond. And you guys are all just locking arms and running together. So that's the simplest answer. And that's, I think, the most encouraging answer. It gives you the most hope. If you can find those 2 runners, go with them. As far as the sheer numbers, the number of people you need, it varies. I know a lot of senior rubies that have 750 to 1,000 people on their teams. But then there might be an emerald who has 750 people on their team, but one of those is like super duper duper, on it, running, excited, growing, etc. So it's just going to vary. It's going to matter how many people you have working and how many people that you have are active. And I'm really working it as a business.
Okay. Is it worthwhile to attend events like Super Saturday and convention if you're new?
Oh my goodness. This is like, if I could say yes any bigger, like I need lots of emoticons and exclamation points. You guys, I'm telling you, these events. So there are 3 things that I think are super important for succeeding in this business. It's super easy. I talk about this all the time, and they're my ABCs. Your A is your attitude. And that's just really about, what am I going to put into this? Am I going to set aside the time? Am I going to be disciplined? How am I going to go about this? Am I going to get discouraged? Am I going to be positive? So, all of that. The B is belief. That's where these events come into play. People, we're all going to get knocked down. I get knocked down weekly, daily. I also reach out to people. I have customers who quit. I have ambassadors that are like, I saw so much potential in, were such huge rock stars in my mind, that quit, that don't give it a shot, or they don't see it through. I have friends who make fun of me still, maybe to my face, maybe behind my back. So, when you own your own business, when you're an entrepreneur, you're going to have times where those things happen. Then you're also going to have these really fantastic times where you get 3 or 4 new customers and 3 new ambassadors, and you got this new runner on your team, and it's super exciting. You're going to have times in your business, just like if you were a freestanding retail boutique, where you've got an influx of people coming in, like say Christmas time, lots of great business, and then your really slow times. You've got to be so mentally tough through all of that. In my opinion, the people that succeed in network marketing are the people that are mentally tough. And the way that you become mentally tough is by building your belief. You've got to build your belief in network marketing as an industry. You've got to build your belief in our company, our CEO, our president, just their heart, which they're fantastic, fantastic people. You've got to build your belief in our products. The best way to do that is to read testimonies and watch testimonies, videos, and listen to people's stories. Every time that I have a customer or someone who decides that the products just don't work for them, used to, it bothered me. I'll tell you, the first several months I was with Plexus, I was like, you know what? Do these products really work? Am I getting into something that it doesn't really work? But I've been in it long enough to know, I've seen enough people whose lives, their health has been drastically changed. People that I know these products work. So when somebody quits or somebody says to me, you know what, it just didn't work for me, it does not shake me a bit, because I know that these products work. I know that this is the best compensation plan that there is out there for any network marketing company. And so that is so, so, so important for you, is just to be building your belief. And my opinion is the best way to do that is going to these events. Convention, you're going to hear so many testimonies and stories, and even just walking in the halls and chatting with people and just learning about their story. Leaders Retreat, if you didn't qualify for Leaders Retreat this year, you absolutely have to make that a goal for next year. It's one of my favorite events of the whole year. Convention's really cool, but it's really, really big too. Leaders Retreat is a little bit smaller group that you really get to know people and get to learn from one another. And then the content of what they're teaching you is to develop you as a leader as well. So absolutely, without a doubt, you have to go to these events. If I were you, I would already have convention on my calendar for next year. Make it happen. Whatever you need to do from a financial standpoint, make it happen, because I promise you it'll be beneficial for you and for your business.
That's great. Okay, that's pretty much our questions. And Erin, do you have another 5 or 10 minutes to take questions from everybody?
Absolutely.
Okay, so everybody turn your mics back on. And Erin, I'm just going to let you do this because you've got more experience than me fielding questions from the masses.
Okay. Yeah, just bring it. I say bring it on.
Okay, guys.
Hey, Erin, this is Amanda. I'm Jennifer's niece, and I am her very first ambassador that signed up underneath her. Quick question. I am a working mom and a school teacher and am utilizing Buffer. What have you found? Do you utilize Buffer, and do you think it's a wise tool for us to use?
I love Buffer. So you've heard me preaching consistency for this entire call, and I think if consistency is important to our success, Buffer helps me so much. I would be scrolling through my Facebook and just looking at things, and I would see, I'd be like, oh my goodness, that is such a good post. And then I would just sort of be paralyzed, like, what do I do? And Buffer has helped me. I immediately save the graphic to my iPad, and then I immediately copy the content, go paste it, all kind of wordsmith it a little bit to make it sound like the way I talk. Change the hashtag from somebody else's website to mine because that's important, right? And then I'll go ahead and schedule it out. You might have seen a post I did today about it being my birthday. That's a post I scheduled out 5 days ago because I didn't know what today would hold. I didn't know if I would be super busy. I didn't know what would go on with the kids. And so by having my buffer filled up, I try to keep it full at least 4 or 5 days out. Then that way, if I only have 10 minutes to work my business, I don't want to spend all 10 minutes scouring Facebook trying to find a good post. I want that to already be done. So it's just like turnkey. Now I can focus my 10 minutes of work time today on reaching out to those 5 people and following up with 3. So I love Buffer or anything like it. Some people use Tiny Torch, and I think there's a couple of others as well. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
This is Vicky. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I just recently, just last week, signed on under Amy Thompson. My question is, in trying to figure out how to manage, because I homeschool, we can tend to get easily distracted during the day. But I noticed when you were talking earlier about your blocks of time that you set aside and when you would respond, do you typically find that you have everybody responding or communicating with you via text, via email? I'm just thinking about keeping it streamlined to where I'm not having to check Facebook and my text and email and managing all that. Do you set up like kind of a protocol of, if you need me, I can only respond during certain times, and this is the best way to do it? Put it in an email or send me a private message. Have you kind of streamlined that, or do you just work all 3?
The short answer is that I work all 3, but I'll tell you, so I've been doing this 3 years, and something I learned too in my sort of previous management experience is if somebody messages me and I respond immediately, then there's an expectation now that I'm always going to respond immediately. So if I happen to see something and I can tell it's not a emergency, and I'm like, say I'm like sitting with my daughter doing math, I'm going to finish doing math with Claire, and then when I get my office hours, then I'll go back and respond to that. And I do that because I think that it helps your people to kind of, if it's not an emergency, then they might dig a little, and we all learn better when we have to find the answers ourselves. So I think that's really good from a sort of leadership standpoint. You kind of train people based upon just how to react. And so if I'm immediately on the spot right there available when it's not my office hours, then there's going to be an expectation that I'll always do that. And then that doesn't give me the time freedom that I got into this for, right? And so whether you want to articulate it and say, hey, here are my office hours and this is when I'll respond to you, and if you have an emergency, text me, but if it's something else, just Facebook message or email me or whatever, you can line that out. I also think, though, over the course of time, people just kind of pick up on what your preferences are, and they know how to get you to respond. You know, if it's going to be an emergency, they're probably going to text you and say, oh my goodness, SOS, please call me immediately. But if it's just something they want you to get to immediately, then, I mean, eventually, then they'll probably just send you an email or a Facebook message. So it's up to you. I've thought about this a lot. I probably should publish my office hours. I just don't think that I'm there. My family's just so variable still. I just don't know what's going to come up day to day. I don't have a really solid schedule. Like, I don't send all 4 of my kids off on the bus at 8:15 and get them off at 4. It's kind of all over the place still. And I think it's going to be that way for this season of my life. And so until there's a little more consistency at home, I have to just sort of work it as best I can with as much consistency as possible. So I don't know if that answered your question or not.
It did. Thank you. Yes, thanks.
Up to what you're comfortable with, but then at the same time, keep in mind that you train people on how to interact with you. And I really try to be there especially my level ones. It's super important to me that I'm helpful to them and that I respond to them and that I answer their questions. Sometimes they'll send me a question, I'll be like, I don't know. So I have to kind of think about it or research it a little bit before I can get back to them. And that's okay too, I think. But yeah, just figure out what works for you. That's the beauty of this, is you can do it however you want. And if it's not working, then you can switch it up a little bit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Erin, I missed a whole page of questions, so I've got one I think we really need to get in.
Mm-hmm.
What's the one thing you have found most helpful for getting fence sitters off the fence?
Oh man, I would say prayer.
Amen to that.
I'm actually pretty serious about that. I think it's important when you're posting on Facebook. Sometimes I'll have somebody in mind that's a fence sitter, and maybe just in conversation, non-plexus conversation that I've had with them, they've said something that I can sort of come at from a roundabout way in a Facebook post. So I'll address things that way. I really just try to be targeted. I try to be consistent with my follow-up, ask lots of questions. If they're a fence sitter, there's something that's holding them up. So the only way, you can throw as much information as you want to at them and completely miss the mark. It would be much better to just ask them a lot of good questions and identify what their hiccup is, and then you know what you're trying to address. So just talk to them. I think that's the best approach, is try to keep those lines of communication open. Try to provide them as many resources as you can to meet their need or their objection, to really answer that objection. But you got to know what the objection is before you can answer it.
Okay, one last one off my list I want to get in, because I think a lot of people would like to hear the answer. I get so discouraged when people say no. What do you do to keep from getting discouraged after being rejected over and over?
So for me, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about that belief. Think of it like, if I'm trying to think of a totally independent example. Imagine that you have a shampoo that you love. And so I say, Jennifer, I love this shampoo. And I tell you all the reasons. It makes my hair fluffy and full of body or whatever. And then you say, oh, okay, interesting. I think I'll try it. And then you try it. And then you come back to me and you're like, that shampoo was horrible. It made my hair greasy or whatever. I'm going to be like, okay, I still love my shampoo. I don't really care what your experience was because I know that I believe that it's the best. It worked. And I think that's true with Plexus. You know, the more you build your belief, the more stories you hear of people whose health was completely transformed, people who lost weight, people who stopped having migraines. There's all these stories. Many of this stuff we can't talk about on Facebook from a compliance standpoint, but it doesn't mean that it's not true. It doesn't mean that it still exists or it does not still exist. So build your belief. So when those people fall off or quit or say it's just not working, it doesn't shake what you know to be about the products. And that's because of all this, just this whole, I guess, world of experiences that you've heard from all these other people. I also think go into it knowing that you're going to have a lot of people fall off. I think there's a lot of reasons it happens. I think people aren't ready. They dive in and then they're completely not committed. I think people's life gets in the way. They're not, their situations come up where they're not being consistent with their products. I'll even tell you, there are a lot of Plexus ambassadors that kind of ebb and flow in their consistency and commitment to drinking their water and taking their products every day. It's not going to work if you don't do it right. So go into it knowing that you're going to have people that fall off. You're going to have people that try it and don't like it. More than likely, they weren't ready. And the more time that goes by, you're going to start seeing some of those people circle back and tell you, I was not ready. I did not give it a good shot. Admittedly, I was not doing it the way I was supposed to, and I'll give it another shot. So it's not you and it's not the products. It's them. And it's really just about when they're ready, when they're committed. And that may not happen. They may not ever be ready or committed. That's okay, because I promise you there's a million people out there that you can go find that need these products. So focus your energies on them. We want to love on the people that we have, ambassadors and customers. We want to support them, educate them, do everything we can. But if there comes a point where they decide it's not for them, that's fine, because I promise you there's 100 people out there that you can go find that it is for and that need it, and spend your time and your energy and your effort on those people, getting them and then helping them.
Thank you. Okay, one last question and we're done, and then you can tell us whatever we need to know to go rock this world. There's a ton of people on this team that are intent on being in Maui. So what 3 things would you tell us to do from today to July 31st to get us there? 3
things. I promise you this is not going to be like earth-shattering stuff. I'm going to go back to the consistency thing. You have to be consistent. And you've got to sit down, and consistency is hard because that consistency equals discipline. So you have to be disciplined in your daily activities. And it has been proven time and time again. Ask any jewel in this company how they got to that point, and it's because they've told people about the products, and it's because they've told people about the business opportunity, and it's because they follow up with people, and then they train their teams to do the same. And it's that simple. And so if you want to be in Maui next year, which you do, trust me, you want to be in Maui next year, you have to commit yourself today to beginning to do those things tomorrow. If you don't have your list of 100 people, write it down. You've got to get it established. You're not looking in your day-to-day life of ways to expand that list. I'm constantly friending new people on Facebook. That's my MO. is I'll get to know somebody in my kid's classroom, like say one of the other moms. I don't say a word about plexus to them then, because that, for me, that's like so obvious. So I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to get to know them. I'm going to become their friend. I'm going to say, hey, can your child come over for a play date? Get to know them. Facebook friend them. Then they can watch my Facebook posts. I'm going to let them do that for a few months. Now I've established that relationship, and they've become familiar with plexus. So then either I can circle around to them and say what I was talking about earlier, I'm doing plexus for the record. If you ever, or when you decide to join, I want you on my team. Or they'll come to me. That's happened a ton within that first 2 to 3 months, is these new people I develop these relationships with come to me. So you got to make that list of 100, constantly be growing it. Reach out to people every single day and follow up with people every single day, and then train your team to do the same. That's what's going to be what gets you to Jewel. And the more people you reach out to every day, the faster your pace is going to be, the faster you're going to get there.
Well, Erin, I can't thank you for your time.
Oh my goodness.
This has been great. I think everybody would agree with me. We feel honored to have our very own Diamond spend a whole hour with us, especially on her birthday.
Oh, I am so thankful that you guys asked me to. I just love this team. It's been so fun for me to watch, and I was so excited whenever you asked me to be a part. So hopefully this has been helpful, and thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. One more week. We have 8 days. So let's finish strong. We got a lot of people going silver, and I want y'all to get to come to the beach. So have a great night. I love y'all. Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.